Hey guys, Kirk from the Forever Homestead. So today we are going to start working on some radiant heat. So it is, what are we? We are March 27th-ish, around there. It's Tuesday, and next Monday, so on April 1st, the crew comes in to do the spray foam of the house. So this week has just been kind of tidying up and getting things done. We had 2 inspections last week, beginning of this week. We had our electrical inspection, and that passed without any problems. Thanks, Joe. Father-in-law helped with so much of that, the majority of it. He did in 2 days what would have taken me easily a week or 2 to do. So that was an awesome help. And the kids and I got to kind of apprenticeship for a day and run wires and build circuits and all that kind of stuff. So that was fun. Plumbing, I did the plumbing myself. There's a video out on that. And I had the inspection for that on Monday, and we had no problems with that at all. Everything passed fine. So now I have been working on getting in like data cables, phone cables throughout the house, audio system, stuff like that. Kind of been going through the rooms, you know, thinking of all the possible layouts and where stuff's going to be. It's an off-grid home, and I've kind of worked for like 20 years on home automation for this kind of house, being an off-grid house, to really be able to monitor the power, keep track of, you know, lights that are left on, all that kind of stuff, turn them all off. So there'll be a lot of videos upcoming on the smart home that I'm building, but the infrastructure for it is pretty crazy. I think I've gone through. Well, there's just a couple of the boxes there. Each of those is 1,000 feet. Data cable wise, I think I've gone through probably 2,000 feet. Speaker cables, I've gone through about probably 1,000 feet of speaker cable. So there's a lot of wire in the walls. A lot more than we'll probably ever need, but it's hard to determine what the layout is and where you're going to need it. Anyway, so today I am working on getting the PEX pipe for the heat system onto the second floor loft system. The reason that one has to be done before spray foam is because they're actually, so below us here is the mechanical room, and probably right about here is the wall that the radiant heat, the hydronic heat system is going to be on. So the second floor lines are going to come down through the wall here, this wall cavity, into the basement. And I want them to be in the wall, so when he spray foams it, they're all kind of encapsulated in the spray foam. So that has to go in today. The basement is not going to be, he's not spray foaming the basement for probably another month or so. I need to do some power washing down there, and it still needs some rough framing and stuff like that done. It's just no room to move down there. It's just piles of stuff everywhere. So, and I really want it to dry out. Warm up and dry out before he does that. So I am going to get set up. I have a little bit of tidying up to do, and then I got to drill a whole bunch of holes. Oh, I should show you these. These are the heat transfer plates that we're using. So they go. So the radiant pipe goes into the, like on the ceiling, like this, all the way along. And then it actually snaps into these plates, and then these plates get stapled up to the floor. So there'll be two runs, so it kind of loops in these things. So it's basically on 8-inch centers all the way along. So I'm going to get the wire run and hopefully get these things installed today. I kind of have the wire sitting out there in the sun from the window, trying to warm it up a little bit, but it's not the ideal time to be running PEX, but it's kind of all I got. So I'm going to get set up and I'll check back in. Okay, so I've got holes drilled. So I've got two holes here. Oh, sorry, I got two holes here, 4 inches apart. They start out in the kitchen there, and they go all the way back into the ensuite. So the idea is that you put the holes 4 inches away, and then you run down the one closest to this side, like furthest away from the wall. You run all the way down with it, and then you loop, and you come all the way back with it, and then go in there. And then what that allows is you can go back to each bay, starting at the far one, and pull out the loop you need for in that space. So, you know, you'd pull out all you need for here, and then turn back, and you're pulling that from the roll. Now, you know, I've pulled in a couple of 1,000 feet of PEX pipe for heating and in the slabs and all that, and each time I try to come up with some contraption to help wheel it off, that never works. I just pulled this one apart, and I just end up rolling it out on the ground. You know, you just don't want to pull it off of the roll like that because it'll be all curled up. So I end up having to roll it out and back, and then I can pull the slack. There are machines. There is like this big contraption that you can get that it kind of pulls off, but by the time I drive somewhere, I mean, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. So by the time I drive somewhere to pick one up, it's, you know, half a day just to, you know, use it for a couple hours and bring it back. So I know some of you are going to judge, but really it's not too bad when you have a big open space. So I'm going to pull this more in, and then I'll show you the looping part. Okay, I'm still working on heat pipe. I really underestimated the amount of time it takes to get that stuff in, especially with one person. And anyway, it's been about a day so far, a full day, and I've got half of it done. So you can see there, the pipes coming through at the end and return at the end, and then the plates are stapled up to the floor. And you leave, you know, between 4 and 6 inches of space between the plates so they don't make a noise. In some places I had to go a little bit more because you got to go around obstacles. You know, in some places there was some plumbing that I had to go around and stuff. So I'm finally getting the hang of it. So it's not too bad. You kind of start out, you know, where it's going to go down through the floor here, and then you pull your main loop through. But at each bay, you got to pull a little bit of a loop out of it. Otherwise, and I learned this the hard way, otherwise if you just run it all the way through, you can't pull the pipe out without kinking it to get your loop to go down the bays. So thankfully, to get a kink out of it after you do it, you can use a heat gun with this pipe, PEX pipe anyway, and heat it up to, I think it's 270 degrees, and it goes back to its original shape. So it's kind of good that way. But yeah, it's easier to do it. Actually, it's harder to do it the proper way, but that's what we're doing now. Okay, so it looks like a lot of craziness, but now, so this is, you can see this bay's done. That's a zone there on our controller, and then this is the second zone. So up there, that's the office and the bathroom, and then the part we're doing now is the 2 back bedrooms. So they can all be controlled individually from the system downstairs. But so now all we have to do is, well, a lot of the same thing. So I've got to feed another whole bunch through all those loops over to here, and then I can run that. Then I can run that all the way back, just straight back. I don't have to loop it on the way back. I just run straight back over and then down to where my boiler system's going. So on one that's already installed, so those loops that are hanging here are actually these pieces here, and they go, that loop, we have to extend it, but we extend each loop way out to the end of the building and then back, all the way back. And then the part that I'm doing now, so you can see that empty hole, maybe you can see it in all that chaos up there, but now that we have all the loops, we're actually going back, which is the equivalent of this back pipe that just runs straight through everything. So now we're gonna get all that in and pull a whole bunch of loops in the center of these things, and then hopefully, I won't be able to finish it today, but hopefully having the pipe hanging in there, it'll be easier to work with tomorrow. Right now it's fairly warm in here. It's about 5 degrees outside today, but when I come in the morning, it's really cold, and PEX pipe is hard to deal with as it is, but cold PEX pipe is even harder to deal with, so that's kind of been a little bit of a slowdown. Ideally, it would have been nice to wait until the, until summer to get this in. But the problem is this back wall where everything's feeding down to is a insulated wall. So I want these pipes to be out as far as I can in that wall, but I want them to be encased in spray foam. I don't really think there's a concern of it freezing anyway, because it is the heat system, so it'll always be on and it's always flowing. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more of this pulled in before I call it a day. Okay, so I've got 75% of them in. I've just got these last few bays to do here. It's going pretty smoothly now that there's no plumbing or anything around. I don't really know what the best solution is. Every time you watch one of these videos online, they show you on an empty stud bay and all that kind of stuff, which is what I'm going to do. But realistically, like if you look at an empty stud bay, it's pretty, they're pretty straight. They run, like the only time mine curve is when I have my overlap on my studs there, so I kind of bring it back out to the outside. But for the most part, they're pretty straight. But if you look at a spot where there's plumbing or something, like here, like you look at where there's plumbing, there's no way that is going to stay straight. You got to go around a pipe, unless you were to like put that on the other side of it, which would mean you'd have to cut it or like feed it in some kind of a weird way or something like that, which isn't going to happen. Same thing here. So I went around it. In the end, it's still going to be warm, especially that floor, because that floor has got this one underneath it heating up. But on a nice flat bay like this, it goes pretty smooth. I'll show you how it goes. Might need to see if I can find a tripod. there we go. So there's 2 bays with it pulled in. So now you just go along and snap the heat transfer plates over them and just staple them in. A couple more bays to go. This bay here is going to be a little bit difficult just because of how narrow it is, and I had to make it that narrow. Well, it's not that I had to make that narrow. I had to make the one before it wider because the beam, the post from the upper that's holding up the ridge beam comes through it. So it kind of moved my 16-inch centers there a little bit. But what I'll probably do in that bay is much like I did on the first one, and I'll only put one side of it on a heat transfer plate. Like this one here, I only have the front edge on the transfer plate, and the back one I just clipped along the joist, and then I'm going to put a support. There's plastic supports that'll keep that nice bend, so it doesn't kink when hot water starts flowing through it. There's a couple places I need to put those. But I'm going to keep going until I run out of staples, which is very shortly, and then I'll have to pick up more for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is Friday already. This has taken a lot longer than I thought. I thought it was going to take a day, and it's taken easily 2 days, full days anyway. And I still have a bunch of other things I need to do to get ready for the spray foam, which is on Monday. So I'll be working long days all weekend, but it'd be nice to get this spray foam in, and then I can be back on my own schedule, not on somebody else's. So today is Friday. What have we got done? We finished up the heating pipes this morning. Got them all the plates in, all the way over. Ended up adding that third zone into it, and now, so there's 6 pipes going down this outside wall here. I put these straps on here just to keep this pipe in tight against the wall, so when they spray foam it doesn't push the pipe out, and then my drywall is all wonky. But there's still, I still need to do some tacking and stuff up here, but it's to the point that at least the spray foamer can work and get everything sealed in. So I got all that done. My communication cables are all in everywhere. There's still a couple little odds and ends. I got to do a little bit of bracing or blocking on these back walls here. You can see like this 2x4 here. I still need to put a plate or something behind here that I can screw drywall to. There's just a couple places like that, and really the ones on the outside wall are the ones that matter, because on Monday when he spray foams, I won't, it won't be a nice clean edge anymore. So tomorrow I'm going to put another level on this scaffolding so I can get up to that ridge beam. There's a threaded rod that has to go through. You probably can't see the hole in the video, but there's a hole there for the threaded rod, and that's for Jessica's silks. So when she does her acrobatic silk practice and all that, we're going to hang the silks from here so she has a nice space to work. But I need to get that in because we won't be able to access the top half of that anymore once it's spray foamed. And then while I'm up there, I'm going to wrap all the timbers and everything. So tomorrow I'll finish wrapping everything. And then Sunday I'm just going to clean. I need to clean everything off the first floor and then sweep and vacuum everything so they can. So when the spray foamer comes in, he can just go right to work spray foaming. But there'll be more about that next time. Until then, have a good one.